Hey, welcome back. Today is one of my off days, and today is not a driving adventure type of a day. Thought about the motorcycle, but no. I've been out every weekend, and I'm kind of need to slow down a little bit. And it's hot. It's like in 100, over 100. Gonna be today, this weekend, yesterday. So I'm gonna stay indoors. I fired up the AC in the shop. I'm gonna play with the truck. It doesn't actually need anything, but I am going to take it apart. I'm gonna try to get to the fuel tank. I need to replace the fuel hoses that I purchased a while ago. I might figure out how to pull the sending unit real quick and inspect the hose that connects the fuel pump to the steel line in there. Make sure that little hose is still in good shape. Sometimes those break. It is the original pump that I think of, that I'm sure it is. But the OEM pumps are usually pretty good. I don't want to swap it out. I do carry a spare, so I'm gonna kind of compare the spare that I carry, make sure it would fit if I ever had to swap it on the trail. I want to add more spacers into the front struts. I'm gonna preload them a little more. I think that the truck can handle a little bit more preload on the front. I have quite a bit more travel on it, and I want to use it up. I want to bring it up. The extra heavy duty springs I got for the back are pretty strong. I don't have to add too much air into the air ride, but because of that, the truck lost a little bit of its sort of sway bar effect because I don't fill the airbags up as much. So I want to be able to lift the back even further, but when I do that, the front end sits lower, and it's kind of goofy. So I'm gonna just preload the front with another 8mm spacer. So that's today. I don't know if I'll finish today. I have the whole weekend. I have the whole week in the evenings too. It'll just be shop time for a while. Need to back off. That gas is still expensive too. So it's shop time, play time, listen to some good music and drink beer. So here's the hose on the tank. It's a little hose like that. That's all it is. And I do have to drop the tank because the hose is seized onto the fitting at one of the points. So you can see right there, this fitting is seized just from age. I think it just got crap in it over the years. I'm not gonna fight it. I'm just gonna drop the tank. I already have the skid plate out right there on the floor. I gotta undo one strap. I gotta loosen the filler neck. Not quite sure how the filler neck comes out. If I'm gonna be fighting that all the way, or how that part of it works, or if I can just drop the tank a little bit. That's kind of the mystery. I guess I could open the book and look, right? That would probably help. All right, I got the gas tank out. It actually wasn't too bad. Problem was getting this line fished out, but it didn't help that it still had a half a tank of gas, so it was kind of heavy. So I'm most likely going to siphon it before I try to shoehorn it back up there. But it's doable. Kind of needed to know if it's doable on the trail, which it is. I'm gonna pull the fuel pump out. Gonna pull out this unit here. Get this thing undone. Clean it all up and put it back in there. I don't know if I'll be doing it today, but at some point. The fuel hose is off. It's a good thing that I took the tank out because there's no way I would have got that hose off inside the truck. Here's the new hose that's gonna go on. I'll try to tripod this. Yeah, it looks like it's actually a manufacturing defect. They haven't threaded the hose all the way down, so the fitting got flattened. So I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna just file it down a little bit. So here's the aftermarket pump that I carry with me. So I'm gonna try to fit it. Looks like it's the right one. It's got a little base right there. Looks very similar. Yep, even the connector fits. This is a brand new Denso. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. Also, when you replace these, make sure you get a hose and make sure that it says in-tank fuel hose, because this hose is submerged, and if you put the wrong stuff, if you just get a generic, like an AutoZone hose, it will disintegrate sitting in the gas tank and it'll just turn to like tar. So that's something to watch out for. Gonna install the new clamps. Alrighty, so there's the new pump. I was going not to mess with it, but I realized that the one I purchased was a Denso, and I'm pretty confident in Denso parts. I am going to put the old one back in the box, just like it is, and it's gonna travel with me. That way, in case something happens on the trail, I can fix it, you know. So I also replaced the vent hose for the filler. That one's a new one. Happened to have a 1/2 inch. So while this whole thing is out, this is gonna get cleaned up a little bit and bolted back in. So we got the gas tanks back in. Gas tank skid plate is installed and got the hoses in. Got the fuel connector hooked up, which is important. Otherwise the new pump wouldn't turn on. The filler neck is all back in. So we're all good. Put some gas in it maybe. Start it up later though. I don't want to gas this place out while I got the air conditioning on. We'll test it another time. All right, I'm continuing. I paused for the afternoon to go do some kid stuff and family stuff. So I got the additional spacer installed on the front. Just putting a strut in. I had to order these big bolts because they're pretty much gone. They've been, you can see the thread. It's done for. I'm gonna temporarily put them in. I don't like having my truck disabled during fire season. We're in the middle of a heat wave, a lot of stuff going on. If I gotta like evacuate or something, I need my truck on its wheels. So right now I got, this is a passenger side strut is reassembled. I'm gonna just getting this driver's side out. So this one only has the one spacer. I got one over there I started fabricating. I just gotta hack it in half. So there's the strut. Put this guy. What a mess. So I'm gonna compress it a little bit. This is kind of unconventional way of doing it. There's an actual right tool. So there's actually the right tool for this, and this is not the right tool. This is how I do it, because it's, you know, it's obviously what I have handy. I want to lift that synthetic washer, and I want to slip my, I want to put the spacer in that I'm making. I still got to cut it in half. And there you have it. All right, it's all in there. I did manage to thread the old bolts back in. I do have new bolts coming on Wednesday, which is in a few days. So I'm gonna put the wheels on. I'm gonna take it for a spin. I need to pour the gas back in it. Make sure this brand new fuel pump is gonna work. It's gonna need an alignment because of the height changed and the geometry's off, but I can't actually do the alignment until I put the equipment rack back on and the quad on the truck. I have to have it at the right load, because so this isn't the true height. You got to roll the truck back and forth for the thing to settle. And then we'll see how it looks. But ultimately, won't know till all the load is on, like that. My equipment rack and the quad is on the truck. Well, there's no obvious gas leak, so that's a plus. I haven't started out. It's gonna run like crap because it's full of air, obviously. Let's see how much gas I got so I don't run out. Hold off putting the rest in, less to siphon out in case I have a problem. All right, we're gonna start it up, see what leaks. Surprised it hasn't sputtered. Find my cushion. Check for leaks. All right, looks okay. It actually looks pretty good. It's noticeably higher, probably another 2 inches. This is gonna be the ride height, I think. Which now, with the truck completely empty and the airbags deflated, It's sitting almost level. By the time I add all the weight on, I'll be able to air up my airbags up to the right level, and that'll give me the sway bar. When I lock the valves in so the air doesn't bleed left or right, it's going to act as an additional sway bar, and it's really nice to drive that way. So I think these spacers are going to fix my issue. So the test drive's good. There's about the right height that's going to go on. It is 2 inches higher than it was. I didn't take a tape measure to it, but kind of don't even remember what it was. But I think it's higher because the truck seems taller. The bumper seems a little taller to me. And it is a preload, so it's going to be pretty nice in the off-road. I can drive a little faster and not bottom out. I'll still bottom it out just from experience. I know how heavy this truck is, but I like it. I'm glad I did it. I was debating it for a few weeks if I should add more spacer, but I like it. I think it's good. So the next part is change the hose on the engine. There's a high pressure fuel line that comes off the rail, off the back of the motor, going to the pipe that goes down to the gas tank. So that part still needs to be changed. I'll do that another day. It's kind of the weekend, long weekend, and got barbecues going on and stuff. But here's the hose. It's got a banjo on one end. This just hooks onto a steel line. Well, I'll see you in a couple days when I work that other hose. All right, back in the shop. It's a couple days later. So I got the truck back together. Got all the spacers in. It looks good. It rode good. I'm pretty excited about the way it rides. Today, I'm gonna do a quick the other fuel hose, which goes in the front. This is the one with the banjo. It's about yay big. Another OEM Toyota part. That's it for today. I'll put it on there, test drive, and maybe put my equipment rack back on this afternoon. Put my quad back in there. I'm done working underneath. Well, so much for the quick hose change. Here's what it turned into. So I had to pull the intake out to get to one of the pieces, and I'm still all the way not down to it. It's actually below this pressure regulator, which I'm gonna change. I'm already this deep into it. This was something I wanted to do at some point, not on this go around, but I'm here, so I'm gonna change it. It's something that's known for leaking. It can start a fire, you know, all sorts of stuff. So it's gonna get pulled and replaced. I'm not gonna mess around with it. While all this stuff is out, all these hoses underneath the intake are gonna get replaced. I'm not messing with the injectors. They're gonna stay. The fuel rail's gonna stay. I'm just gonna replace that little regulator thing. And because it's like right there looking at me, it would be pretty dumb not to change it. I'm sure it's pricey. I'm thinking about the idle control valve, which is right there. It's this piece right here. That's a little harder to get to on the trail. Obviously not impossible because, you know, I got it out now. But that's where I'm at. Still working it. Now I'm gonna have to go to the dealer and get a bunch of parts, hoses, while I'm in here and things like that. So it'll be down for a while. Hey, welcome back. Another day of wrenching a tiny bit. Today I'm going to pull the valve covers. I ordered all the parts. Parts are coming tomorrow, so I want to get the valve covers off and get them washed and prepped for the new gaskets. That's all I'm doing, is putting new gaskets while I'm in this deep into it. And I got all the little vacuum hoses and fuel lines and things on order. All of it should be in by tomorrow. So tomorrow night I might try to assemble it. But that's it for now. Just gonna get busy on these valve covers. Well, there's the first valve cover. It's out. Here's what the engine looks like. That's one clean engine, I'll tell you that. You could see how the aluminum is still shiny. There's like no real gum buildup or anything like that. This engine has 196,000 miles on it. I've changed the oil, regularly. I think it was no less than 5,000, but after I started off-roading with it pretty heavily, it gets changed once a year, regardless of the miles, because of the dust that I drive in. And I do run synthetic. I run Mobil 1 synthetic in it now. I didn't at first. I've had this truck for 17 years, so originally I ran just dinosaur oil, but I switched to synthetic probably when I had it, like after 4 years. So the last 13 years it's been synthetic only, but definitely worth it. You can see the shape it's in. It looks really good for an engine that's really never been torn apart or anything like that in 196,000 in the 34 years. Sorry, 34 years. It's a 96. So yeah, 20. Yeah, what the fuck is that? 4 plus 22, 20. So yeah, 26-year-old truck. That engine looks pretty good, and that's how it looks from the bottom too when I had the oil pan off. All right, valve covers are washed. It's as good as it's gonna get. All the grime is gone and it'll be good. It's going back into the off-road anyway, so I just don't want it grimy, but this will be good. Get me where I need to go. All right, now we're waiting for parts for one whole day. Time to rest. Hey, welcome back. Another day. Got my parts. A bag of goodies. I got some nuts. I got my fuel regulator. A bunch of the special molded vacuum lines. I got the fuel return lines. I got manifold gasket. Which is gonna replace this. We got my valve cover gaskets.
There, it's gonna be a busy night. All right, valve covers are coming back on. This one's on with the plug wires. Just got to put the coils on this side. It's coming together okay. Get me a drink. Man, it sure is hot. This is during that crazy heat wave. And I do have AC in here, but I don't run it during the day unless I'm like positively sure I'm gonna be here. So I kind of didn't cold soak today. I got home about 8 o'clock and flipped it on when it was almost 90 degrees in here. So it's coming down, but it's still pretty warm. This is just my OCD right here. Hey, welcome back. It's another day yet again. So I got the thing back together. I got the intake on, everything back in, test driven, drives good. It was not on the first try. I did have an issue. When I put it together, I had a high idle problem, which turned out to be a non-operative idle control valve, and that was caused by when I took everything apart. I took the upper side of the intake and I flopped it upside down onto the workbench. And when I did that, it knocked some dirt loose in there and prevented the rotating cylinder in there from working. So it was stuck open, and the truck had a high idle, which I couldn't figure out. I eventually figured it out about a half hour into it. I ended up just squeezing the input hose to the air control valve, and the idle came down, so that told me that the valve was jammed up. They usually jam up with carbon and dirt. It does suck air out of the engine through there back into the intake to create a high idle. So I got that fixed, got it all back together, and it runs good. I drove it to work yesterday, and it did pretty good. So I got it all back together, replaced a lot of hoses, a lot of the hoses that are underneath the intake itself. You can't really see them, but there's breather hoses here, and some vacuum lines underneath. There's also two coolant hoses that go to the idle control valve for keeping the throttle body warm, keeping it from freezing up. It's kind of like a carburetor heater, but for the throttle body. Replaced the new fuel hose, the high pressure line. I replaced all of the return lines under the hood. I still got to get back by the gas tank and replace the return line on the tank but the rest of the hoses are okay. I replaced what was in bad shape. There's a couple more on top that could use replacing. I'm not gonna mess with it now. I don't quite have the right size hose, so I gotta go pick it up, but I'll deal with it another day. It's not a showstopper. It won't leave me stranded. So it's all good, back together. Got the lumber rack back on with all the gear. Got the quad loaded up. It's all under load now. I am going to check the alignment. Not today. I got stuff going on this weekend. I got some guests here, so not gonna be wrenching this weekend, but it's good enough to drive. I drove it around town and the alignment isn't too far off. I'm not really expecting it to be too far off, but it's all good. It got a wash the other day, so it's back to semi-shiny. And but it's good for the next adventure. We'll see what that will be. Don't have one planned yet, but I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it'll be something exciting. So thanks for watching, and until next time.